20708, paragraph 4 is the limit on sand. And that takes care of what it is. And as a prohibited activity in excess of the volume limit as defined in this section.
So you're suggesting those?
I'm making a motion that we include that language.
Does everybody understand? Is there a second to that motion?
Does everybody understand that?
So you want to restate that motion?
To the industrial minimum, the very last line says sand and quartz mine, and for purposes other than construction and agricultural purpose, the construction and agricultural purposes should be taken out, and it should be defined as industrial sand will be in excess of the volume limit as defined in section 110.2708, paragraph 4. Which defines the limit as 60,000 yards. Anything over that is industrial.
Okay, at this point, there's no outbursts from the audience. Bruce, that's your warning. And beyond that, you'll be asked to leave the room. There's no outbursts. Okay, Bruce? You know that. All right. Let's go to that.
So you wanted to remove that last sentence?
Just the part of it, and add in excess of volume limits as defined in section 110.2078, paragraph 4.
Isn't that,
Have we agreed on the volume limits yet?
It's farther on in here, and it just refers what sand is to the volume limits.
Let's go to the volume. Let's go to the volume.
Let's go to the volume limits.
doesn't that just take a definition, turn it into a number?
Let's go to volume limits, Rich.
Where's that?
Volume limits are on page 10. Okay, volume limits read, the way it's stated right now, sand mines shall be capped at a volume of 60,000 yards, truck yards per year per site. The limit can be exceeded during times of government-declared natural disasters or emergencies or a public construction project. The zoning administrator shall approve in writing any exceedance of the limits. So what you're proposing is under industrial minerals, anything mined in excess of those volume limits would be considered industrial mining. And at another paragraph, we ban industrial mining. We prohibit industrial mining.
That's correct.
All right. Go ahead. Just a second. Is there, first of all, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second to that for it? Insert that language, to change that language?
We discussed it?
I would like to have a motion and a second and then go to discussion.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion was made and seconded. Okay, Rich, discussion.
Well, why did the study committee put this language in, sand and quartz mine for uses other than construction or agricultural purposes, and now, as a member of that very committee, you want to take it back out and use just a number to define what industrial sand is? How does a number define a product?
Yeah, the study committee makes recommendations to the Planning and Zoning Commission. You understand?
Yes, I get that.
Yeah, all right. You get that part. All right. That sentence was inserted in there at the end of the meeting, and after we talked to the lawyer for one thing, he says that sentence is unenforceable or very hard to enforce. He said that it's difficult for a Houston County ordinance to follow a truck out of the county. The enforcement of the way that thing is written would have to take place in some other county. We don't have places that, I mean, if they would be taking it out to take it to some frac sand processing facility, which we don't have. If that's, or what other use it is. But that really wasn't the intent of the committee all along. The intent of the committee all along was to my understanding, was to put a cap on sand mining at 60,000 yards.
I thought the intent of the committee was to try to work out the differences between silica sand or frac sand and construction sand, and leave construction sand and our quarries alone, and
Right.
deal with something that was completely new and different.
That's
And
true.
and what you're doing now is you're saying, you're taking out sand and quartz, which is a definition, and you're defining it with a number.
We're
just
defining,
said already
no,
to have
we're defining if you mine sand and quartz
And
over
it's-
this volume, it will be considered industrial and it will be prohibited.
That doesn't take care of the problem.
I think what the committee found out when we studied this for 3 years was that a lot of the issues brought up pertaining to, damage to roads and things like this had to do with volumes. The volume of, for instance, sand mines in Wisconsin was such that it needed to be regulated. And that's what they decided once they worked through all those issues and discussions, was that to put a volume limit on it, you address the big issue, to put that 60,000 cubic yard number on it, you're addressing the volume issues that came up through the years of study. And so,
Who picked the 60,000?
That came over a year's worth of discussion. Part of it came from trying to assess what was currently being used at our mines in this county right now. And to the best of our ability to come up with that number, the present production coming out of most of these mines is 30 to 40,000 yards, somewhere in there.
Right.
And we have expanding berries, we have expanding needs, and so raising it to 60, the committee felt, was a reasonable level to go to give them room to expand. And if you talk to anyone in the frac sand industry, well, I hate using that term, but
But it's common.
yeah, all right, I'll use that term. But anyway, what they're looking for is 500,000 to 1 million yard operations. And we're thinking that capping it, the committee was thinking that capping it at that level, it would give our existing mines room to expand where they're at to satisfy local demand. And we heard loud and clear that we don't want to be affect their existing mines. They're not causing a problem in this county.
No.
And so we actually, we put that in there, giving them room, but that really is a very low cap, in my opinion. But that's it was negotiated back and forth, and we all settled on it. Yeah.
Now, if you have a mine every mile, and everybody gets 60,000,
First of all,
Was it
there
that?
won't be a mile, yes, when we get to density, you'll see that there's a mile between the mines. That's true. But when you lay the setback overlays on the map, half mile from a cow stream, quarter mile from a residence, now when you lay those on the overlay, you would be amazed at how little land would be left behind.
tell you what, if they're after 500,000 and you're giving them chunks of 60,000, it adds up pretty quick.
But Rich, every single one would have to have a new cup come in, go through the DNR requirements, go through the permitting process. And the mile apart is if there was an area that was outside these overlays, outside these setback overlays, the mile apart would separate them, blow them out of there fairly fast.
And also, they have to come in with the mining plan. These are, what we're talking about here is new permits that will come in. And they're gonna have, most stuff that has any water anywhere that's coastal, it's gonna have a year monitoring. You're gonna have, then all the import's gonna go through the zoning and planning commission. They can put all the restrictions on that for health, safety, and welfare. So they got it covered with, putting all these stuff, whatever restrictions they want to put on.
Who's going to enforce that? You just got done saying that. If putting in this last sentence, it would be unenforceable. Who's going to enforce all those?
Not the last
restrictions
sentence.
you just talked about?
The conditions put on the conditional use permit are
Right, but that's just words on paper. I mean,
No, they're buying
to
it.
physically enforce something means you might have to go look, check.
That's right.
So who's gonna make sure that happens?
Enforcement is up to the commissioners. Now, you take that up with the commissioners, really. That's where that question needs to go. Enforcement is with the commissioners and the zoning administrator.
Mr. Chair, point of
Yes.
clarification.
Yes, you're a member of the committee, please stand up there, Justin.
Just confusion, I guess, of what I'm hearing. Mr. Cruz's motion, was that to add that to the end of that sentence?
It was the
Just-
substitute, I believe.
Substitute or add?
Yeah.
Substitute.
Okay.
Yep.
Could I comment?
Yes,
I see this as the definition of industrial, mineral, gas, metal, gas, and fluid. This is how you identify that term. All these are in there. Later on in the document, we put limits on it, and I struggle with, if you exceed the limit, now you become this, when you weren't before. I mean, the limit doesn't make the definition change, I don't think.
well, if you, I think what you're saying though, if you mine over that level, that activity will be considered industrial mining.
And will be,
Okay. I mean,
I think it makes it more confusing. To put a number
And we've got-
instead of a definition.
And
And just to say, okay, this is a volume, and now it's industrial then, at 59,000, it was okay. It was construction sand.
that's
But it's still the same thing that's coming out of it, you know?
right, but it's defined at the volume limit. You
Okay, but
cannot
it's-
exceed that volume limit.
It's physically
You know,
the same thing.
that's
If
true.
you hit 60,000.
That's true.
Now it's different. What,
But
is that, you have to have just a half a truck go out and change that?
well, it could be at that level. The point is this, the point is that we're trying to protect the county from the negative impacts of large industrial mining. We're trying to do that. I mean, the committee, when we talked about it, was trying to do it through volume caps, Rich.
Well, maybe can't we also do it through definitions?
No, because you're starting to go into quartz and silica sand and everything else, and who's going to define that? Sand is
You
sand.
just did define construction sand.
Sand is sand. And when you start defining it silica sand, we had an application not that long ago that was strictly agricultural and construction. That's all that particular mine had ever done. And there were people claiming that mine should be shut down because it's silica sand and we got a ban on silica, we got a ban on frac sand. That's the confusion that comes in when you start going to silica sand and calling it these different things.
But you, in commercial and construction minerals, in the definition, you talk about decorative stone, retaining valves, revetment stone, roofing granules, fill material, and other similar uses are used for agricultural uses as ag, like bedding, sand for livestock. So there it's defined as sand. That could be silica sand as
Yes, it
as
could.
bedding.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So let's go back over here.
It could be.
And you can leave this in here. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter if it's in there. But now you're just saying, okay, now this is a volume, it's a number. Leave that definition. Why take it out? Because you've already defined construction and commercial standard back here.
Let me answer your question. The question is, we can't put it there because we're going to ban, we're going to prohibit it. It's going to be prohibited activity. It's not prohibited as a construction and tax. It's not prohibited on page 1, but the minute you put it over here on page 2, it's prohibited.
By putting a limit on something, that's something we do throughout the zoning ordinance. In fact, that's what zoning does.
Right, but that's not how you define something.
We will collect your questions at the end of this discussion.
This would be part of the definition. But by putting a limit on it, it reduces the impacts. And that's what zoning does. One of the goals of zoning is to reduce the impacts.
All comments will be directed to the chair. They will not be given up here until the proceedings are over.
For instance, throughout the ordinance, we have limits and thresholds For instance, on feedlots, there's a threshold of 300 animal units. If you exceed that, you need a conditional use permit. If you exceed 1,000 animal units, you're considered a CAFO, and you require a federal permit. So that's similar to what we do throughout the ordinance, and it's a tool that counties use to regulate things.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, at this point, we have a motion on the floor and seconded to change the last sentence in subdivision 3 to read, "Sand and quartz mined in excess of the volume limits as defined in section 110, 2708, paragraph 1. Sand and quartz mined in excess of those volume limits would be considered industrial mining." Any other discussion? Bob, will you do a roll call vote?
Yeah. Motion? Nay.
I'm sorry, yeah, in favor, signify by saying yes. If you're against it, if you approve of the motion that's on the floor here made by Glenn, say yes. If you're opposed to it, say no.
No.
Okay, Brett Shield,
No.
Terry Rosendahl,
Yes.
Glenn Cruz,
Yes.
Ed Hamel,
Yes.
Larry Haffner.
No.
Motion carried.
Motion carries 32.
3.
3.
3. All right,
Oh, and then,
and I gotta vote.
yep, you can turn back.
I think it should be changed, yes. Any other changes to that paragraph?